Alright, cool. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to count little man. 5. Cool. Alright. Okay. Tsunami, a catastrophic event. The scene is set. You're enjoying a bright, sunny day, looking out at the beautiful blue ocean. The seagulls are flying, and people are sunbathing on the warm sand. As you set, you notice the waves getting a little higher, but not too bad. Then they start to go back down. Thinking that it just might be the tides changing, you lie back down and enjoy the warmth of the sun. A few minutes go by and you hear the crowd start yelling and screaming. As you rise to see what all the fuss is about, you notice that the ocean and the sky are one and the same. You think, as it is getting closer and closer, what is that? Then you realize it is a huge wave of water and you have to run. But where do you go? This huge wave of water is better yet known as a tsunami. Tsunamis have been around for decades, and this paper will cover the history and the causes of tsunamis, the devastation of a tsunami in Sri Lanka, and how the U.S. is prepared if one should ever strike. Tsunamis have impacted the earth throughout history. Dating back to the 1800s, tsunamis have been recorded and their devastation can still be seen today. In 1883, the island of Krakatoa was struck by a tsunami. With waves at least 130 feet high, it destroyed villages and lives. There is recorded data that places such as Alaska and Newfoundland have been struck by tsunamis. According to the U.S. Geographical Survey, the West Coast and Alaska Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer, Alaska, indicates that the 1964 tsunami was the most disastrous tsunami to hit the U.S. West Coast, causing many fatalities and financial losses. Many lives are lost, homes are destroyed, and livelihoods are gone. An individual cannot get out of the direct path, which makes these waves so catastrophic. Tsunamis have been linked to Moses parting the Red Sea and even the extinction of dinosaurs. So what is a tsunami and what causes these huge waves? According to Geoscience Australia, tsunami is a Japanese word, tsu meaning harbor, and nami meaning wave. Unlike tidal waves, which are caused from tides, tsunamis are caused from earthquakes under the ocean's floor. The movement of the plates from an earthquake causes the sea floor to move up and down, which then causes pressure in a wave to form at the surface. Although they are usually caused from earthquakes that are above 7.0 on the Richter scale, there have been evidence recorded of eruptions and recorded tsunamis from much less earthquakes. They can also be caused by landslides, volcano eruptions, and asteroids plunging from space. They can range anywhere in height from 3 feet up to beyond 130 feet. Typically, a tsunami will hit land in a series of 3 or more waves. The first wave could be unnoticed, while the second and third waves could be devastating. Unfortunately, scientists have not been able to predict the time between each wave before it hits. According to National Geographic, tsunami waves can be very long, as much as 60 miles or 100 kilometers, and be as far as 1 hour apart. They are able to cross entire oceans without great loss of energy. Tsunamis are more common in the Pacific Ocean, but not uncommon in the Indian and Atlantic Oceans. So, using my first visual aid here. Oh, shit. As you can see, this is how tsunamis form. The tectonic plates, or the tectonics upthrust in the form of earthquakes and the ocean floor volcanoes, causes vast quantities of water to be displayed in a very short space of time, generating a mass amount of energy. And so after these tectonics start to build up, the energy from the quake or impulse causes a train of simple, progressive, oscillatory waves to propagate over the ocean surface in ever-widening circles at speeds as fast as 500 miles per hour. And then you have the travel. The wavelengths of the tsunami continue to grow with the waves, periods, the lengths of time for successive crests or troughs to pass a single point varying from the 5 minutes to more than an hour. And then as it travels, it approaches. As the tsunami waves approach the coastline of a landmass, they are slowed dramatically by the friction of their collision with the rising seabed. As the velocity lessens, however, the wavelengths become shortened and the amplitude increases. And then finally, you have the impact. Finally, with the wavelength compressed and heightened to large levels, often between 5 and 10 meters, the giant waves collide with the shore, causing massive damage. The succeeding outflow of water then continues the destruction, uprooting trees, and washing away people and property. And then here, I'm going to pass this around, but here we have a picture of the plate top. plate tectonics that are around the world. So here, I'll let you pass that around so you can look at it. And continuing on, on December 26, 2004, a tsunami struck Sri Lanka, which is located in the Indian Ocean, proving that tsunamis aren't rare but not unheard of. If it was not the first or the second wave, but the third that struck the hardest, Sri Lanka was not under any warning system, as there was not one readily available for that area. Unfortunately, this issue is what led to one of the deadliest catastrophic events in history. When the wave hit Sri Lanka, it was stated by Nature's publishing group that it slowed to 10 kilometers per hour. Its wavelength shortened to about 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles, and its height is thought to have soared to more than 10 meters, 33 feet. In 12 countries in this region, 250,000 people lost their lives, over 35,000 in Sri Lanka alone. For the ones that did survive, their homes were destroyed and their livelihoods lost. Since so much of Sri Lanka residents depended on fishing as their jobs were all gone. Many schools and hospitals were destroyed. Of the buildings that were left, they were used as housing for the displaced. The running water was contaminated and electricity was gone. The world's immediate response was to send any aid that would be helpful. There were over $13 billion in aid and supplies given to the ravaged country. But was that enough? The responses was tremendous and helpful, but can be immediate donation help a long-term problem? The answer is rarely yes. Even though you can rebuild homes, schools, hospitals, and give a person back their livelihood, the psychological impact of never being able to bring back someone's mother, father, child, or family will affect the residents of Sri Lanka for the rest of their lives. And as we see here, in this next visual aid, it's hard to see, but you have a picture of the wave actually getting ready to hit the coastline of Sri Lanka, and then the devastating results of what the wave did to the coast. And I'll let you pass it around. I need that right back at the end. Evidence has shown that the United States has been struck by tsunamis with much smaller waves and significantly smaller damage. The highest probability being on the west coast in the states of Washington, Oregon, California, due to the fact that it sits on the Pacific Ocean where there are numerous fault lines throughout the ocean floor. Kenneth Murphy, Federal Emergency Management Agency's regional administrator, said, I would never say we are ready. At least 10,000 plus would be killed from the tsunami if a magnitude 8.0 quake hit. They tremendously go up from magnitude 9.0 quake. We're talking numbers that this nation, I'm not sure, is really prepared to deal with, as quoted from an article in Express. As we've seen throughout history, tsunamis are caused by earthquakes, and if an earthquake occurred taking out highways and escape routes, how would all the residents get away from the tsunami? The answer to this question is they probably would not, although scientists are working adamantly to try and help this situation. Different warning systems and ways to monitor the ocean floor help tell when an earthquake has occurred. Although the warning systems are adequate to helping give warnings to the tsunami that may occur, it still continues to be fine-tuned to prevent as much loss of life as possible. Tsunamis continue to plague our Earth today. The force and unpredictability of these huge waves continue to have a major impacts on loss of life, homes, and livelihoods. Even with advanced warning systems in place, there's just not enough time to get out of the way of these huge waves. The tsunami that hit Japan on March 11, 2011, brought utter chaos to its country and has had repercussions felt around the world. And as you can see here on my last visual aid, this shows the heat signatures that are given when the tsunami waves were. And as you can see over here, we have the Asian continent, and then over here was the U.S., and then of course you have Australia down here in South America, and that's how big the heat signatures from the tsunami were. And it states under here, an energy map provided by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA) shows the intensity of the tsunami caused by the magnitude 8.9 earthquake, which struck Japan on March 11, 2011. A tsunami warning was issued for the entire Pacific Basin except mainland United States and Canada. The warning included Hawaii and extended from Mexico down to South American countries to the Pacific, the U.S. Pacific Tsunami Warning Center said. And then here you can see that it shows the water hitting the coastline of Japan, stretching into the distance. Waves caused by the tsunami pour over the coastline and rush inland, swamping all before them. As the seawater passes over the land, it mixes with the soil and begins to change color to a dark brown. So I'll pass that around and let you all look at it. So scientists continue to fight to prevent as much as possible from these catastrophic events, but without mandatory warning systems in place for coastal areas, countries will continue to perish. We, as a society, are reminded when this natural disaster occurs that we have a losing battle against Mother Nature. This is a fight that continues to be worth the battle. As for one life that is lost, 10 could have been saved. And here, I'll pan it back on the audience. Got 2 over there, 1 over there, and then 2 over there.